Okay, today in the shop here we have a 2013 BMW 335i all-wheel drive with a 3-liter turbocharged engine. Today we're going to be doing a oil change, a multi-point vehicle inspection. We're going to be looking at wipers, we're going to do fluids, we're going to give the car a under-car check, and we're going to also be checking out tires. So to begin, we're going to start on our page here. We're going to type in all of the vehicle information. So to do that, we're going to go over here to the year. Is a 2013 BMW 335i coupe all-wheel drive, and you also have sedan all-wheel drive as an option. This is a sedan we are working on, so we're going to make sure we click sedan. And there's only one engine option, and that is the 3-liter turbo. Okay, once we come to this screen, the first thing I'm going to be looking up is going to be the oil service information. So if you go up here to this search bar, you can type in, if you type in oil, you will get an option here under system and components, engine oil. So once we get to this screen, we want to know our service info and repair procedures. So you have a couple of other things. You have description and description and operation with components, some safety precautions, your fluid specifications, the fluid types and the capacities. What we are going to be focusing on is the service and repair procedure option. We're going to come to the bottom here with service engine oil. Once you get to here, the screen shows you a couple of things. It shows you special tools required to complete the task. Obviously, your warnings, cautions. It says here risk of scalding. Obviously, if the vehicle is warmed up, the engine oil will be somewhere near coolant temperature. So you will have to be careful because that will be about boiling. So they want you to wear safety glasses and gloves. You have some other information here, other warnings, recycling information. What we are going to be concerned with is going to be the torque spec for the oil filter cap to the oil filter housing. You can see here it is listing that specification at 25 Newton meters. So you need to be mindful when you are setting your torque wrench that you are setting it to 25 Newton meters, not 25 foot-pounds or inch-pounds. This is a metric measurement, so take note of that. A couple of other things on here. Obviously draining the oil. It's showing you drain plug location. If you are unfamiliar with the vehicle, you can look over here at these pictures. I believe if you click on them, it gives you a full screen view. So if you're unfamiliar, you need to find the location of that information is there. It also has, this is your oil filter housing cap. It shows you what you are going to be servicing. That is the filter. This is a cartridge type filter. Later on in the video, I will show you the difference between a cartridge type versus your standard metal oil filter. Also showing you here some O-rings that are going to be replaced when you are doing this service. This is something you would do every time you are doing an oil change. There you go. You have recommendations. Obviously, you need to park the vehicle on a level horizontal surface. That is going to ensure that you get the most accurate oil reading. Obviously, if the vehicle is on an incline, you would not get an accurate reading of your oil level. All right, so this has a lot of information if you are unfamiliar with the job or the vehicle. Okay, after looking up the service information, we're now going to come over to the vehicle. I'm going to set the lift arms onto the lift pads. After that, I'm going to remove my engine oil cap, the engine oil cover, and the oil filter cartridge prior to lifting the vehicle in the air. After lifting the vehicle in the air, we're then going to begin draining the engine oil and move on to the next steps of the multi-point vehicle inspection. Okay, so now that we have set the lift arms for the vehicle, we're going to open the hood. We're going to remove the oil filler cap, the engine cover, and the oil filter cartridge. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that. The one thing to note that you will not see on this vehicle is there is no engine oil dipstick. So with that being said, typically most high-end cars, you have to check the engine oil level through the VID or the vehicle information display that will actually give you the oil fill level. So just something to note, if you do not see an engine oil dipstick, typically I will check engine oil prior to doing an oil change to see if the vehicle was low on oil. This would also be a time that you could check other fluids, or you could do that later on when you are filling the engine oil. So we've removed the cover. I'm going to go ahead and remove the cartridge so you can see what that looks like. You want to remove this very slowly as it is going to be in oil. Obviously, you want to wipe up any oil that you spill. Okay, now we're going to raise the vehicle. So once all 4 tires are off the ground, you do have to remember to give the vehicle a shake just to make sure that it is sturdy on the lift. Once we've done that, we can continue to go all the way up. Okay, so the next step now that we have lifted the vehicle, we've done our underhood, we pulled the cap, the engine cover, and the oil cartridge. We need to go ahead and we need to drain the engine oil. So, of course, it's very difficult to see on this car, but the BMW did give you an access hole here to the oil drain plug at the bottom of the oil pan. So we're going to go ahead and take our 17mm 3/8 drive socket, extension, and ratchet. We're going to go ahead and loosen the drain plug. Okay. Now that that's cracked loose, we prepared here. The oil will be hot because it was just driven. We need to be careful of that. We're going to make this very slowly. Try not to make a mess out of the oil. So you can look at the condition of the oil. This does look fairly dirty, but nothing out of the ordinary. There's no coolant mixed with the oil or anything like that. So that's pretty typical. Now, while the oil's draining, we're going to go ahead and check tire pressures and tread depth next. So we have here our tread depth gauge. Two readings on this. You have 30 seconds of an inch, and you also have millimeters. We're going to go ahead and use the 30 seconds increments here. So to use this tool, very simple. You push your scale all the way down so that this needle is extended out of the tool. Then you go ahead and we're going to measure this tread in two non-adjacent spots, meaning that I'm going to probably measure tread depth right here as well as right here. But again, you can measure anywhere along here. So very simply put, we're going to put our gauge in between the treads here, push it down, and then we're going to look at our scale. So we are just above 730 seconds. You can actually see we are right at 830 seconds of an inch. Okay, you can see the line just barely above this barrel of the tool. Okay, so before we do our next measurement, make sure we push that down all the way again. Okay, so the next thing, now that we have measured tread depth on our tires, we're going to go ahead and check the tire pressure. The recommended specification that BMW says for the front is going to be 32 psi. In the rear, it is going to be 38 psi. So we have our digital tire pressure gauge. Okay, notice our reading is 0. When I go ahead and put the end on the valve stem there, you can see that that pressure changes. We are at 27.8, so about 30 or 28 psi. So a little below spec. We need to make sure that we fill this up to 32, or as close as we can get to 32. Okay, so we'll leave it there. See, we're pretty much perfectly at 32 psi. Make sure you put your valve stem cap back on. Okay, now that we have done the tires, the next thing that I want to show you is this cartridge oil filter, the oil filter cap, and the O-rings and washers that I need to be replacing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll start with the oil cap. Now, referring back to the service information, we need to change this every oil change. So you're going to go ahead, take your little screwdriver there, pry the old gasket off. We have our new O-ring right here. We go around here. You almost have to roll this around, roll it on, and it sits in its, there's a little ridge in there that it sits nice and snug in. The next O-ring we're going to be changing here is this bottom one. This was also in the service information. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult, being that it is a lot smaller. Oop, there it is. Put that with our old gaskets. If you cover these in oil, they do install much easier. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing and try to roll this O-ring on. This one is a bit more stiff, but we got that there. Okay, once we have done that, you can then take your cartridge. This is non-directional. There is not a specific way it goes in, so you could put it either way. And you make sure that it clips on there. Okay, you can see we are seated all the way in. So once we bring the vehicle back down, that is ready to install. Very simple. Here we have our oil drain plug. Unlike the Dodge Nitro that had a rubber gasket around the drain plug, this vehicle has a copper washer
Okay, so it is going to be imperative that we torque this drain plug to spec. Nothing special as far as installation. Make sure the old one is going to be replaced. We'll put that with our old gaskets, and the new washer slides right on. Okay, so now our filter and our drain plug is ready for reinstallation. Okay, so now that we've replaced the copper washer there, we're going to go ahead, start this drain plug by hand until we can't tighten it anymore. The specification for this drain plug was 25 Newton meters. Okay, so here we have our digital torque wrench that I'm going to be using to torque the bolt there. You can see I have this set for 25 Newton meters. Again, you need to be careful, make sure you're not in foot pounds or inch pounds. To change the units actually on this tool, you just hit the U and you can see that your units change, right? So we need to make sure we are not in foot pounds or inch pounds, we are in Newton meters. So what's nice about this tool, you will see this tool will actually beep and you will have a couple lights begin to light up as we torque this. Okay, so all you want to do is you want to hear the beep. You can double check it just to make sure. And that is all. We are torqued to spec. Next thing we are going to do is put the engine oil, fresh new oil, in the vehicle. Okay, so we've brought the vehicle back down. We need to install our oil filter cartridge. You can get a rag, because it is going to be a little bit slippery. Reinstall that. Now, I forgot to mention that you are also supposed to lubricate that O-ring that we put on, which I made sure I did. So, we've tightened that. Next thing that I want to do is obviously add the oil. Definitely do not want to forget the engine oil. I'm going to go ahead. Okay, so the next thing after the filter, we're going to add the engine oil. So the oil capacity for this engine is 7 quarts. It just so happens in this container here, we had 4 quarts left in it. The next container I'm going to grab conveniently has 3 quarts in it. Okay, so now we're going to check the oil level through the information display and reset the engine oil life. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and check the engine oil level. Due to the fact that this vehicle does not have a dipstick, you have to go through the vehicle information display here using the vehicle information controller located on the center console. So you can see here, you go through the menu, you go to measure engine oil level, and the vehicle will automatically check engine oil level. Another thing to note is the vehicle does have to be running and up to temperature for this to get an accurate measurement. Alright, so now we are going to do our oil life reset. So we are going to do that through the trip odometer reset button. So we are going to go ahead and press and hold that. You will notice that the trip will reset down to 0 when you hold it for the first time. So you can see there it reset to 0. If you continue to hold it, it does actually come back with the original mileage. If you keep holding, it will bring you into the maintenance reset screen, which we can do a couple things. The first thing we're going to do is the engine oil. So if you press the reset button again, you can see that it brings you to the reset menu. You let go of the button and it will automatically reset. Now, while we're at it, there's a few other things that we're going to reset. The next thing is the vehicle check. Now these are, again, all preset intervals. Same deal, you press the trip button again, let go, and you can see the reset was successful. And if you keep going through, you have rear brake pads, brake fluid, front brake pads, rear brake pads, okay, and engine oil there, which we have already reset.
Another part of this multi-point vehicle inspection, we are going to look at the cabin air filter. So to get off this page, we're going to go right up here to that search bar again. We're going to type in cabin air filter purifier. Okay, so we're going to go to service and repair. We're going to look at the replacement. You have two options: replace the micro filter for interior ventilation. That's probably an updated version, looks like version 2. Okay, so we're going to actually pick the second option. This is going to give us our images here of what we are going to be servicing. It will also tell you, location, some other specifications, and what you would actually have to remove to get to this filter.